Hello, my fellow YouTubers. It's me again, Carlita, your Spice Queen. Yeah, I am here with the recap of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 7, Episode 10. Yeah, cleaning up the mess. But before we get started, let's do what we do natural. Let's like, subscribe, share, comment, and if you are already a Spicer, please hit the notification bell so that you can be alerted when I upload new content. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, this information is brought to us by Vulture, along with some of my comments. It's brought to us by Vulture, and it is authored by Shamira Abraham on December the 11th, 2022. So let's get started. So the title reads, The Real Housewives of Potomac Recap, Fixing Cracks and Mending Fences. By my account, now this is the author speaking, by my account, we have had at least 3 to be continued closing shots so far this season. And I don't know about you all, but I feel like if you end an episode with half of the cast getting in a fight in an SUV on the way back from the club, we should pick up the next one right where we left off. I am no newbie to the reality game, and I can appreciate the union rules, likely prevented a full camera setup when they returned to their Airbnb in the wee hours of the morning. And knowing Miami sprawl that thrives likely took 45 minutes minimum. But we could at least get some footage before being plopped and right back in Maryland with next to no fanfare. Thank God Ashley was committed to her job and took her phone right out the second chaos erupted. Or we would have spent the rest of the season litigating that lost hour like the torturous cycle of fictive drama that plagued Beverly Hills seasons after seasons. Now that's the author speaking, and I have to speak when she's speaking. Okay, now, but I digress. The girls are debriefing, decompressing, and detoxing from a girls' trip gone wrong. Karen is literally sweating out the toxicity in her home sauna. Mia is preparing for the non-event that is her DC chiropractic opening. Robin and Giselle are planning for their first live podcast event, but it is really just an excuse to gossip about Wendy. Ashley faithfully reported back to Giselle that Wendy and Robin were on lighter terms at the club, and instead of acknowledging that the two had a tequila-influenced moment of nostalgia for the friendship they had lost, like many people, several shots in are wont to do. Robin refrains the interaction that we saw on camera as Wendy being desperate to mend fences and her being more circumspect about the interaction, which greatly pleased her green-eyed partner in crime, talking about Giselle. It is fascinating that Robin is more open to repairing the issues with Candace, who spent their ride back from the club calling her everything but a child of God, than Wendy, who had a harsh moment but never screamed at her. Still speaking, this is the author. Speaking of the issue with Robin and Candace, the entire premise behind the conflict is illogical. I didn't linger on it too much last week because I prioritized the play-by-play. But Robin is carrying on about a live that Candace never deleted. It is actually still on Instagram. If you feel like watching at watching all the 1 minute and 45 seconds of it. But in the live, she specifically exempts Robin from her tirade and even shouts out her hat business. Okay? She shouts out Robin's hat business, which is a nice thing. And apparently, a coming skincare line. And all say Wendy, and I'll say, and all say, Wendy is all over the place. Okay? Yet here we are litigating the fact that, well, Candace doesn't like Giselle and Ashley. Why? What Candace doesn't like Giselle and Ashley? I'm sorry. The only people who have a place to feel away, if anything, would be Karen and Wendy. And both let it roll off their shoulders after a clarifying conversation. It's also contextualized why Candace got so mad. She felt that she made it clear where she stood with Robin, only for her to take an opportunity to throw her under the bus over "you said it." I don't think Candace is trying to hide a lie that she saved to her Instagram. Her statements were misrepresented and that infuriated her, except for the current one, which was her letting her guard down under Ashley Darby, the walking plot device. Regardless, there's really no space for proper accountability or reconciliation about the conflict. Robin is grieving a hard loss with her family friend, and it is reminding her that life is too short to be a raggedy bitch with no scruples. It is probably also a driving force behind her being more open to hearing Wendy out on trying to mend fences and Candace's cookout. Although Wendy has already revealed that the Dante will not last long, all will that ends well for now, okay? It just still doesn't make sense for Robin to demand that Candace be more specific, because she is just not ever going to give Giselle or Ashley an exemption or a break. Speaking of Ashley, being married to Rumpelstiltskin all these years is taking its toll. And she now can't leave the house without forfeiting her firstborn. She puts poor Uncle Lump through the ringer, hearing her increasingly volatile separation. I do think that the split is real, and not just for TV, and not purely because Ashley keeps bringing up that boy Luke from Summer House in interviews. The frustration and fear that she vocalizes are familiar to anyone who has had to walk a friend through a split where the power balance is skewed. Ashley thought she had an easy way out after beating a prenup, and is now realizing that the fight is going to be a little rockier than expected, and playing nice isn't necessarily going to help her out. But she also knows that pulling the plug and getting the forensic accountant will set things in motion that she can't walk back. Her insecurities are real and valid, although I am sure that she is maneuvering it a lot more nimbly than she is letting on to be to her castmates or the audience. Let's just make this change here. It's getting juicy. I hope you all are still with me. It's a little lengthy here. Okay, let's get to Candace. Candace is having a backyard party to celebrate her executive MBA, which I thought was largely reserved for people who had years of professional experience and were prepping for senior management. But they, congrats on 2 degrees regardless. I am glad that she copped to gossiping about Karen and chose to apologize and move forward. Their relationship has been in a delicate place since season 5, and I would hate to see their progress fall apart over IG Grant. It is also just great to see Candace in a more relaxed atmosphere, with a lot of her actual friends and community coming out to celebrate her. Wendy is also proud of someone getting a new degree. Robin looks like she's making a stop in between Target trips. but I will chalk it up to her grieving process. At least Robin and Wendy used the occasion to talk things out a bit for however long that will last. That said, I feel like what Robin is trying to say is that Wendy can be a bit didactic, which is true. That is quite different than saying she makes everything a debate. They all debate all of the time, particularly in the group setting. Housewives argue. Calling Wendy out for arguing makes you sound pedantic and small. We also find out that Robin is now planning for her wedding to be family only. I am not knocking an intimate wedding. I am not knocking an intimate wedding. Do whatever makes you happy. But there's no way I believe that Robin will get married without Giselle as a witness, nor does it make sense for her to waste anyone's time with this non-event after dragging out the date for 3 years now, unless Bravo refused to film it and shell out the budget accordingly. After 3 seasons of treading water, your big event, a Bravo wedding at that, is going to be smaller and have a lower budget than Mia's chiropractic branch opening? Say it with me. Be freaking for real. This is the author. Amid all this, dear old Ray is trying his best to smooth things over for Giselle and asking Chris whether he would be open to taking one for the team and apologizing for how he made her feel, which sends him into an understandable tailspin. Like Chris and Candace explained in the confessionals, it's not like the apology would necessarily resolve things at this point. And seeing as how they were blindsided by the scenario in the first place, they have no clue what Giselle would be gearing up, to say in response, and would rather mitigate the space for additional damage. It's unfortunate that we couldn't make it through another episode without bringing in this drama that clearly would not resolve anytime soon. But Mama Dorothy clearly foresaw dangerous waters ahead when she saw that brown snake in the grass and said that Giselle's presence was in the building after all. Okay, we're at the end. Next week, Karen takes the occasion to mock Giselle and Robin's low-budget live show as she prepped her own touring event. And the Mia and Jacqueline storyline heats up with the green-eyed, a.k.a. right in the middle, stirring up the mess. See you then. So I am excited. They're very, very informative. It was a lot to read. I appreciate you all bearing with me and all. So just leave some comments. Let me know what you think. I just wanted to get it out there. It's pretty much, word for word. Everything I read, I pretty much saw on the actual viewing of the Housewives this Sunday. So again, I will be leaving the link in the description. So if you would like to go back and read over, because there is a little bit more. There are clips that you can see and everything, actual video clips. So please share with your friends, and without further ado, I will see you in my next video.